Top of the morning, fight fans. This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Eddie Hearn, Tyson Fury, and Anthony Joshua. Hearn says the venue deal is getting closer. Eddie Hearn, the promoter for the IBF, IBO, WBO, WBA heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua, says his boxer has now entered full training for an expected full division unification with the WBC champion Tyson Fury. The British promoter indicates that a venue announcement is very close for a date in July. Both boxers are on board as each man signed their respective portion of the agreement. The agreement calls for 2 fights, with both expected to take place this year. The biggest issues in finalizing the fight are getting close to being resolved: the date and the location. And Eddie states, quote, "We can't wait. AJ has started training camp and has been training very hard. They all want the fight," Hearn told reporters. They are going to be presented with a few proposals on where to do the fight, and everyone has to agree on where to do it. There is no other fight out there that comes close for either guy. July is the date. Really, I think end of the week it will be done. Talks have progressed extremely well, and we're closing in on securing the venue, and there will be an announcement in due course. We're at the stage where it's probably best not to say much more than that. Those are the words of Eddie Hearn. Several locations have been in play, with the Middle East bringing the front runner, according to experts. Joshua was back in action, of course, in 2019, and Fury has not fought since February of 2020. So, those things out on the table. That being said, I think, let me counterpunch. I think that Eddie Hearn is working very hard. I think this is probably one of the most stringent deals that he ever had to do, one of the biggest deals that he ever had to do, and he's up for the task. Now, what I don't want to hear is, knowing that we have a particular deadline, I don't want to hear in the upcoming days that, hey, this is not going to happen. It's not going to happen. This is, oh, Tyson Fury needs a tune-up, and hey, if it doesn't happen before June, we will move on and fight someone else. Because what I'm hearing now is someone has gave you a particular date where the fight, or when the fight, should I say, is going to be. They're trying to find out where it's going to be. And the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, hey, we got to fight before June. See, that's absolute trash. Why? Because you're telling me that your fighter, your son, and I'm talking about John Fury, your son wants to fight Anthony Joshua, but then yet it has to be in January. It has to be in June. You see what I'm saying? And then if it's not in June, you're going to move on to fight someone else. Do you know what happens if that's true? Do you guys know what happens if that's true? If that's true, that means that Tyson Fury has not done this once, but twice. What do you mean? Okay, think about the Wilder situation. He was supposed to fight Wilder last year, about 3 or 4 different dates. I know the pandemic pushed a lot of stuff back, but since they kept pushing it, and then by January, he said, no, I'm not going to fight him in January. I'm going to fight somebody, though, because I want to fight this year, which was last year, if you guys can remember. Okay, but what ended up happening? Because he couldn't fight him last year, Wilder, he moved on. But what did he move on to? Aget Kabayel. But he never fought Aget Kabayel. So if he does this again, and his father is right, and his father says, you know what, Tyson Fury has to fight by June, or else, and then June comes, he still doesn't fight anybody, what that means is he's ducked 2 fighters. Yes, I said it. He's ducked 2 fighters due to when something was almost there, you reneged. When the goalpost line was met, you moved the goalpost because of whatever reason. You either wasn't ready to fight that person, it wasn't the right this, it wasn't the right that. But nonetheless, people are going to look at that as an excuse. And if you look at a trend or habits that people do, like Tyson Fury has showed us, he can't afford to do that again. So at least, he should hear Eddie Hearn out. Now, it's up to Eddie Hearn if he projects a date and it doesn't meet that, and he keeps on, well, it's going to be the next week or the next week. Well, then they will get more agitated, aggravated, right? And they probably pretty much will be relocated because they're going to relocate themselves somewhere else and fight someone else. Okay, but John's right. He does need to fight. Tyson Fury needs a fight. And then pushing it back is another thing. But again, like I say, if Tyson Fury, if their team needs more time, they should just say, hey, let's hold off on negotiations. We need to fight someone else first. But what that means, it will mean a shit show for everybody, because Anthony Joshua, Team Joshua, confided in Tyson Fury's team to take that fight right now because it messed up everything. See, because if it wasn't for this fight, that means Anthony Joshua could have fought Alexander Usyk, then fought Tyson Fury after Tyson Fury had his warm-up. You see what I mean? So that messes other people's opportunities up, such as Usyk, right? Yeah, Joyce ain't tripping because Joyce is the guy that's up for the WBO interim and that opportunity after all this stuff is settled, if it ever gets settled. Okay, so it seems to me that these negotiations are just as bad as the coronavirus pushing them back, because it's like that opportunity is stopping other opportunities and progressions in the sport, but at a cost of becoming undisputed if the undisputed ever happens. You see what I'm saying? So it's all a sacrifice for undisputed. So if Eddie Hearn is doing this, a lot of pressure's on him. He has to get it done, because we're already hearing too much negative talk. We're hearing too much of this shit. Okay, because John Fury, he talks to his son, and the same thing he told his son is the same thing he told everyone else. Tyson, you need to get it. You need to fight. Forget AJ. AJ's going to be there. That's going to be rain at the money, gold at the end of the rainbow. Right? He's going to say those type of things. And Tyson listens to his father, and he might just listen to it, and he's not talking that positive. But I think Eddie Hearn, he has to race against time, because he knows, hey, I have to do something quick or this fight could go to shit. Honestly. But it does look good. The words sound good. But also, what's on the table? It's up to Team Fury to agree to the location. And at this point, it's like, look, who's going to pay the money? Okay? Who's going to pay the money? Who's going to pay the money? Who's going to be the best option for this fight? And where will it be live? That's all. The site fee is the most important. And if that's the case, let them both agree on it and let the fight be done, so they can finally announce the fight, so we can shut up all the Wilder worshipers and all this other stuff and all the negativity and all the doubters and everything else. We can shut it all down, and then we can go on with our business in the sport of boxing. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Eddie Hearn saying that he will come up with a date or an announcement or a finalization by the end of this month. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.